Welcome back, Astro listeners, to this week's New Moon podcast, New Moon Aquarius. This is Medium Monk. As usual, I'm joined by our shining star of the zodiac. It's Star Lady. Hi, Star Lady.
Hello, Medium Monk.
And we all remember Star Lady is the managing director for the Evolutionary Astrology Network as well. She has studied the EA paradigm for 35-plus years. Collectively, we still have, going on 1,000 students worldwide studying our course materials, participating in our podcasts like this, our forecasting webinars for the general public and students. Lots of other things you can peruse at www.evolutionaryastrology.net. Always call 605-348-5111 to schedule your relationship composite session with Star Lady for 1 week only. We're going to hold off on changing the pricing there so you can get a composite reading with a colleague at work, perhaps, a parent-child relationship or an intimate relationship for free with your purchase of the consultation product for yourself. So consider that for the next week. The price will change it on the weekend, so get in now and get scheduled before the pricing change. And with all that in a deep breath, I'll just say welcome back, everybody, and here's Star Lady.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our New Moon of Aquarius podcast. There's a lot going on, and so I'm probably going to rattle through a few things a little fast. Before I do, though, the big overview is that there's a lot of energy moving us forward, moving us direct. In addition to the Chinese New Year, the water tiger, courage, leadership, generosity are some of the positive words for this year. In addition to that, we also have the halfway point between winter and spring, pronouncing for me, Invoke, or what we in the U.S. call Groundhog's Day, whether he sees his shadow or not. There's 6 weeks that we've moved through winter, and we've got 6 weeks left till spring. In addition to that, we have 3 planets that are in process of going direct. Many times when we do our free Mercury retrograde webinar, we will post that in instead of whatever the usual new or full moon podcast is. And so I missed speaking about Uranus turning stationary direct at 11 Taurus. That was January 18th. We're recording this just after Venus turned stationary direct at 11 degrees Capricorn on January 29th. Mercury turned stationary direct in a couple of days, about 24 degrees Capricorn. So all of this, kind of combining together is, again, creating this move forward energy. Now, it just so happens, as the outer planetary retrograde aspects are taking place these days, and maybe I should say these years, it just so happens a lot of them go retrograde in spring, summer, and then go stationary direct in fall, winter. And what it happens to do is it can create anywhere from, a few days to a few weeks to, in this case, 2 months of all the planets being stationary direct. When Venus goes direct on February 3rd, we don't have any retrograde planets for February, March, April, 3 months, because Pluto won't go retrograde until April 29th. And this was the way it was last year. And so we've been in a few years now where we have this extenuated period of time, 25% of the calendar year with all the planets stationary direct. I've been doing planetary forecasts now for 3+ decades and don't see this a lot, but we're in the rhythm of it. So by all means, let's all take advantage of this. Move it forward, all planets direct, done with our reviews. What is it that we value? Venus direct. with our family, with our resources, with our career. I've spoken about how Venus went retrograde on Pluto in Capricorn. Mercury is going stationary direct on Pluto in Capricorn. What do we value? What do we then desire? What do we want to go out there and put energy into and achieve? Now that second Mercury retrograde conjunction to Pluto was January 28th at about 7:27 degrees Capricorn. The third conjunction will be Mercury direct February 11th, 27 degrees Capricorn, just off a few minutes. That can really, again, be adding to this energy with Mercury. The mental clarification, as we have been reviewing the Venetian values, we're getting more and more mental clarity on, okay, this is what I've got to do with my responsibilities, my own self-determination, etc., as I take charge of my life and move it forward. Now, it just so happens that the Chinese New Year, which they celebrate for 2+ weeks, I think, just so happens that the Chinese New Year, which is based upon a lunar calendar, which is why it moves all the time. I don't quite know the astronomy to it. I've not studied it much. But it just so happens that the Chinese New Year is falling right around Invoke. And this halfway point between winter and spring is known as the Fire Festival. You know, we're still in those darkest days of the year with the longest nights. However, that midwinter point was when our ancestors would do divinations. I mean, if we go back far enough, probably using, I would say their ancient beverages and plant substances and stare into the fire. You know, as time went on and we got to the Dark Ages, Middle Ages, and we started having our rune stones, and then we started having our card games that led to the tarot. You know, we started casting divination into the future in our various ways. The symbolism has lived on all the way through time. So, you know, Aquarius is fixed air, but it is a forward-thinking air. Sometimes it wants to be stuck in the past. Sometimes it's that avant-garde rebel of Aquarius. And so this is a beautiful new moon, or a week of time right now, in which you can do your own divination however you perceive it best for you to do. It can be as simple as staring into a candle flame. Or if you have the luxury of having a fire outdoors, which Media Monk and I consider ourselves to be very, very blessed to have that, it can be gazing into the fire and just pondering, what do I wish my next year to look like? What do I see for myself in the next few months, this next year? How do I see 2022 moving forward for me? Now, interestingly, in the month of February, Jupiter is going to make 3 aspects out of the 6 one-off, one-time aspects it will make to outer planets in 22, before it's going to head into its Aries-Pisces retrograde in the middle of this year and make 3 aspects each sandwiched between the Saturn-Uranus last quarter square. Okay, let's break that down. First of all, though, I'm going to do a little backwards thing. I have stated this in the 2022 forecast, which, by the way, is still fresh and packed with 2.5 hours of information. It was a long podcast, long webinar because of, the U.S. Pluto return. So much that is going on right now. Saturn comes within 1 degree, late summer, early fall, of making that last quarter aspect to Uranus. They had 3 exact in 21. Last quarter, crises in consciousness or beliefs. Last quarter, the breaking down of whatever is no longer sustainable. Saturn and Uranus with, structures and traditions versus evolution and moving forward. Into the past, move forward into the future. Saturn square Uranus is going to remain within orb all year because of these 3 Jupiter aspects. Jupiter will make 3 waxing semi-squares to Saturn. Got to move forward, Saturn and Aquarius. Come on, we can do it. And then Jupiter will make 3 waning semi-squares to Uranus, helping Uranus and Taurus break down whatever's not working in that physical world anymore. Jupiter is fiercely active this year, and the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, it's getting all the buzz. But I'm telling you, in February, April, and May, Jupiter makes 6 aspects to the outer planets. It's active with every outer planet in addition to Neptune. And it's more active with Saturn and Uranus than it is with Neptune. By the way, the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction's April 12th at 24 degrees Pisces. We'll talk about that some more as we get closer to it this spring. Right now, what I really want to mention, though, is that on February 11th, Jupiter makes a waning semi-sextile. It's 30 degrees away from a conjunction with Chiron. That happens next year, the conjunction. Waning semi-sextile, 330 degrees. It happens Jupiter at 10 Pisces and Chiron at 10 degrees Aries. This can also be divination. The bathymic phase, that last 45 degrees of the circle, it's breaking things down. At the same time, it is gestating the seed thoughts to be born on a conjunction. And so with Jupiter and Chiron, it can have, the last couple of years, I've been putting Chiron in Aries relative to, our whole health care, because Chiron are wounds that we heal, that turn into our gifts. When Chiron was discovered in the late 70s, that's when the alternative healing movement just burst out onto the scene and took off. And so, here we are several decades later, and again, I'm relating Chiron to the whole health and wellness movement and how that is taking off. And so Jupiter's in Neptune sign Pisces. Pisces has overall rulership of our immune system. And so Jupiter in Pisces waning square to Chiron is showing us how, at least in the United States here, with the lack of universal health care, which puts a lot of energy into prevention, not just trying to take care of it after the crises, Jupiter in Pisces is showing us what's breaking down health-wise. And Chiron in Aries is, that warrior of how are we going to improve our health system. As Louis Pasteur was known for saying on his deathbed, it's the soil, not the seed. The soil is your overall immune system 24/7, day in, day out. It is that Virgo polarity to the Pisces, diet, exercise, and rest. So this can be, kind of front and center here through this month of February if we're wanting to pay attention. February 17th, right after the full moon of Leo, Jupiter makes a waning sextile to Uranus at 11 degrees Pisces, Uranus 11 degrees Taurus. It's just freshly stationary direct. This is last quarter phase, okay, waning sextile 300 degrees. This is still breaking down what doesn't work. And in this case, it can show in regards to, just physically surviving on planet Earth, Uranus and Taurus. They say the Omicron death rate will peak later in February. And that can be one example of Jupiter's waning sextile to Uranus. Another one could be breakdowns in infrastructure, earth events going on in various places. Uranus in Taurus, especially Taurus having that physical rulership of the earth. And then finally, February 23rd, Jupiter will make a waxing semi-square to Pluto, 45 degrees, moving from new phase to crescent phase. Jupiter will be 13 degrees Pisces, Pluto is 28 degrees Capricorn. This is breaking free with our inspiration of changing these Capricornian structures. I've said before, 22 is the last full year of Pluto and Capricorn. So you're going to see those last gasps of patriarchal distortions wanting to roll back progress. Think critical race theory, LGBTQ rights, taking away certain books in our schools, just the extremes of the conservative right passing our legislative laws that want to take social progress back at least 50 years, maybe more. This is the last gasp of that. Then Jupiter waxing square Pisces. Distortions of Jupiter and Pisces, I'm just going by my blind faith. It doesn't need to have anything to do with reality. So Jupiter's going to be struggling to do this stuff based upon these, again, I'm just calling them blind faith. It could also bring some inspiration, because it's kind of like, okay, can we face reality? South Dakota in 2020 passed a medical marijuana bill with 70% of the vote in our red conservative state. And our legislators were kind of scared to do anything in 21, and then they decided they've got to study stuff, and now here we are in 22, and we've got like 22 bills trying to tighten up and take away some medical marijuana freedoms. And so even in our conservative state, we're seeing some of these rebellions against, what I'm broadly going to call social progress. So here's Jupiter exposing distortions and exposing ideas of how things are to move forward. In 2020, South Dakota also passed a recreational marijuana law and legalized hemp, 54% of the vote. Our governor went to court over it, and our state Supreme Court turned it down. So now we have 2 more recreational marijuana initiatives on our ballot here in the fall of 22. By the way, if you didn't know this, South Dakota was the first state in the country to create the initiative and referendum process. They did it in the late 1800s against the railroad barons. So, point is, Jupiter's going to be pretty active this spring, making these 6 one-time only aspects to the various outer planets, and then having 3 aspects each to Saturn and Uranus. Whew. Should I take a deep breath here? I got a couple more things to say, but as I was doing all my prepping, it's like, oh, okay, boy, it's full speed ahead. Comments, Media Monk, before I
as you take a little breather. Just a reminder that we're going to extend that personal consultation special for one more week through February 6th. So we'll go through the weekend. So you get your personal consultation product, add a second chart, and Kim Marie will our Star Lady will perform a nice compatibility reading for you and a loved one, perhaps a parent-child, perhaps a colleague at work, blah, blah, blah. So take advantage of that opportunity for the next week and, and take advantage of this way to move it forward in 2022.
All right. Well, thank you, Media Monk. Any comments on Jupiter aspects?
No, it just adds to the enhancement. We're feeling it.
You're being quiet today. Yeah, we're living it, aren't we?
Yeah. Sometimes it's more about reeling it in rather than letting out a lot of line. That's my opportunity, reeling it in rather than pulling up a lot of slack.
Yeah, I hear you. I understand. Well, let me, just kind of say for everybody, the Venus conjunctions to Pluto and the Mercury conjunctions to Pluto that started mid-December through mid-February, 25 degrees Capricorn, 26 degrees Capricorn, 26 degrees Capricorn, 27 degrees Capricorn, 27 degrees Capricorn. As you can see, that 25 to 27 degrees Capricorn is where these conjunctions are falling. And so if you have planets and the cardinal modality, which is Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, you're going to be pushed a little bit to face your new realities and intuit and discern how you're going to move forward creating your life. If you have planets in those degrees in Taurus or Virgo, you're going to get the trines with Venus, Mercury conjunctions to Capricorn, and that, might ease up a little bit to let you move forward somewhat easier. However, again, it's all of us deciding how we're going to participate in the physical reality of this world, both personally, Venus, Mercury, but also collectively, because Capricorn is the rule maker. It's how society decides, the sage philosophical ideas are, manifested into Capricorn laws, norms, rules, taboos. And as you can see in society, we've got that going on quite a bit. So how are you going to participate personally? How are you going to participate collectively? In addition to that, we are going to have, right on the a full moon of Leo, Venus is going to make its second conjunction to Mars. And so I just want to speak to this a little briefly. It was last July, mid-July, July 13th, when Jupiter made a conjunction to Mars at 20 degrees Leo. And Venus-Mars, yes, it's how we want to personally be in intimate relationships. Venus, what we value in a relationship, and Mars, how we then go about acting upon it, whether we are female or male. We all have a Venus, we all have a Mars. Well, as Venus and Mars make their every other year retrograde cycles, they will have one conjunction. Sometimes they'll have up to 3 conjunctions. Well, 21-22 is the, year, so to speak, in which there's 3. The second one is going to be February 16th. Venus will conjunct Capricorn at conjunct Mars at 17 degrees Capricorn. Venus conjunct Mars, 17 Capricorn. Here's another Capricorn flavor going on. And just in case you're wondering, Mars doesn't conjunct Pluto until March 3rd, 28 Capricorn. Venus conjuncts Pluto March 3rd, 28 Capricorn. Mars goes into Aquarius March 6th. Venus goes into Aquarius March 6th. Venus conjuncts Mars the 3rd time, March 6th. Literally, 0 degrees Aquarius, 02 minutes. Remember the winter solstice, December 2020, Jupiter conjunct Saturn, 0 Aquarius? Well, here's Venus and Mars activating that. However, first of all, on the full moon of Leo, Venus and Mars are going to meet the second time, 17 degrees Capricorn. Okay, here's reality. What is really most important to us, Venus direct Capricorn, and what we value? It's kind of like I spoke earlier. We're going to have conservatives. We're going to have some of the consensus consciousness who always wants to go back to tradition and yesterday, trying to move the past forward. But we will also have those going, there's a new reality coming. How am I going to be a part of it? How are my values changing over the material goods and resources with inflation and prices rising? Here's a little tidbit for you. The top 10% of income receiving citizens in the U.S. buy as many resources, products, material goods as the bottom 40% of citizens in the U.S. The top 10% of citizens in the U.S. buy as much stuff as the bottom 40% of citizens. Wealth inequality, everybody. How much more extreme is it going to get in this last year of Pluto in Capricorn? How will we see things changing in those regards? Stay tuned on that one. We'll can touch base on that a few more times this year. Mercury's going to go into Aquarius February 14th through March 9th. It touched into Aquarius. Remember, it went retrograde January 14th at about 10.5 degrees Aquarius, just shy of a conjunction with Saturn. Well, it's going to go into Aquarius on Valentine's Day through March 9th, and it's going to start picking up speed again. It will hit post-shadow February 24th. And right before that, we're going to have, if you use the July 4th chart, I use the 9:37 a.m. time period, we will have the first of the USA Pluto returns. There will be 3 in 2022. We're going to have the first USA Pluto return February 21st. Depending on what time period you use, July 4th, that first Pluto return is going to fall somewhere through the month of February, then somewhere through the month of July, and then somewhere through December, January 23. Well, stay tuned on that. The 2022 forecast, the Venus retrograde in Capricorn, the Mercury retrograde, I spoke a little bit about this all the way through. I'll speak more to it in the next podcast, but astrologers have been talking for decades about the USA Pluto return. Pluto is 248 years to move around the circle of the zodiac. Never makes it in a human lifetime. This is the first time that it is coming back to the spot it was at in 1776. The last decade, it's been at the spot it was at since the 1760s to the 1770s. This next decade, it's going to be at the spot it was at from the 1770s to the 1780s. You wonder why we've got all of this. Whoosh. I call it soul identity crises going on.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, we're
when you have all these, you're talking about all these collective, larger, these outer planet type transits, centered around that 27-degree Capricorn mark, and when that sets up and collides with some personal cycles all at once, it just reverberates, and so that's really the opportunity we have. And a lot of this is really explained more detail in the 2022 forecast. We do a lot of these public forecasting webinars, and then we post them. You can get the PDF with all the audio video links. Go to that forecasting webinars page on the website and take a look at that 2022 forecast. Get it as a download immediately after you purchase it. Same with Taurus Scorpio nodes. We moved into the a new nodal ingress. So take a peek at those important forecasting webinars that we've completed and now have posted as PDF files on the website. So, if you're not feeling it, get your chart out, start mapping against some of the information that Star Lady has created for you as PowerPoint slides in those webinars, and you can really glean your own most imminent effects about how your life is going to be challenged, or opportunities that we have before us as well.
Yeah. Media Monk, let me just leave everybody, I didn't speak very much about that new moon in Aquarius, which is, taking place at about 12.5 degrees Aquarius. And on this new moon, it's today, January 31st for us, morning of February 1st for those on the East Coast. New moon at 12.5 Aquarius, Saturn at 12.5 Aquarius. They're all three squaring Uranus stationary direct at 11 degrees Taurus. And so the evolutionary astrology mantra that I created for Aquarius, I break free with new creativity in myself. I break free with new creativity in myself. And so, work with that in your own way as you feel any tensions coming up for yourself, as you feel any choice points coming up for yourself, as your own intuition is just giving you these intuitive hits left and right on how you want to move forward in your own world. Breaking free from where you're clinging to the past for yourself. This is the new moon of divination. And with Aquarius, it can also be that new moon of creativity. All right, Media Monk, my last words.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Again, call 1-605-348-5111 to schedule your personal consultation and receive that compatibility chart for free. Until next week, continue to move with joy and a lot of passion on this always exciting journey as we move forward in 2022. Thanks for listening, everybody.